The movie starts in an alternate version of our Earth, but this one is home to giant monsters called the Titans, most of them savage. Kong, who lives in the same place known as the Hollow Earth, is part of an ancient underground ecosystem inside the planet, with different gravity and constant radiation energy that allows creatures there to grow to enormous sizes. One day, Kong was being chased by giant dogs. He ran toward the edge of a cliff, where he had set a trap for the monsters, dropping a tree trunk to trigger another trap that would make rocks fall on his enemies. The dogs refused to give up, so Kong grabbed one of them, split it in half, and roared, letting the blood spill to show he's the top of the area. The other dogs got scared and ran away. Kong then washed himself in the waterfall and ate the enemy he had killed. Kong felt pain when he realized one of his teeth was hurting. Suddenly, he heard a roar from afar, which distracted him and allowed a giant crocodile to steal the meat. Kong barely cared, letting it go, and focused on the sound he had heard, following it. But he only found a small random animal and didn't find what he expected. Meanwhile, on the surface, Dr. Ellen works for Monarch, monitoring global threats caused by the Titans. She has a special system to track them and make sure they don't cause problems. Ellen is worried about Kong because he's a social species and can't survive alone. Elsewhere, a monster starts destroying the city, so the legendary Godzilla comes out of the sea to fight it and protect humanity. In Rome, a spider-like giant monster terrifies people on the streets, and Godzilla shows up to attack it, destroying some buildings in the process. After throwing the monster, it explodes with a nuclear blast. Godzilla celebrates the victory and sleeps inside the Colosseum. Back at the Hollow Earth Monarch base, researchers detect a very high energy reading coming from the hole Kong had made as a trap for the dogs. Ellen notices immediately and flies to the Hollow Earth entry point in Barbados. Director Hampton is tracking the high readings on their sensors. At the same time, Ellen's daughter, Jia, who lives at the Monarch Academy, feels dizzy in class. She closes her eyes, her hands start moving on their own, and snow begins falling inside the room. She sees a vision of the Titans, and when she wakes up, she realizes she drew those scenes on her schoolwork and her desk. After class, the teachers tell Ellen that Jia is struggling to adapt. Ellen tries to communicate with Jia through sign language. Jia explains she's worried about Kong because she senses he doesn't fit well with life on the surface. It turns out Jia is the last member of the Iwi tribe from Skull Island, Kong's original home. Later, Ellen notices that Jia's drawings match the energy readings from the sensors. Meanwhile, an unknown Titan destroys a Hollow Earth facility, waking Jia from a nightmare, and Ellen promises her nothing will go wrong again. Ellen travels to Miami to meet Bernie, a podcaster who talks about conspiracy theories and helped her with the Titans before. He agrees to work with her again but insists on visiting Hollow Earth. At that moment, Ellen receives an alert of a massive energy surge, which even Godzilla feels. He leaves Rome to track the energy source, destroying buildings on the way. Meanwhile, the entry point opens, and everyone at the base panics. Only Kong appears, needing help because of his tooth. The scientists sedate him, and the vet, Roper, flies over in his private plane, replacing Kong's tooth with a strong artificial one. Bernie later explains to Ellen that every energy surge triggers a Titan on the surface, and that the energy is a distress signal from Hollow Earth. Hampton authorizes the team to go down there. Pilot Michael takes Ellen, Bernie, Jia, and Roper in his advanced aircraft. They catch up with Kong at the entry point. The flight is full of crazy lights and vibrations that make Bernie feel high, but it's safe, and they finally reach Hollow Earth. Giant birds begin flying around them, and Thorpe explains they're harmless. The ship's camouflage helps them blend with the environment. Meanwhile, a Monarch team goes to France, where a nuclear power plant shows unusual activity. They find giant footprints and discover that Godzilla is absorbing radiation to charge himself. His body starts glowing, and Monarch planes try to stop him, but Godzilla strikes them and releases a blue energy blast. Hampton tells Ellen that Godzilla seems ready for something, but the connection cuts off due to Hollow Earth's energy. Ellen's team reaches the Monarch facility and is shocked to find all the scientists dead and the building completely destroyed, with blood stains on the stone walls not made by Kong. Roper says it's a call to war. They find one intact security camera, hoping for answers. Elsewhere, Kong grabs his axe before jumping into the pit he made the day before and finds glowing crystals, along with the bones of creatures that resemble him. After hearing a roar in the distance, Kong ran past a waterfall and discovered a mysterious underground world. He saw a massive shadow moving toward him, but it turned out to be a small ape named Soko. Kong tried to approach peacefully, but Soko bit his hand. Other apes then attacked Kong and grabbed his axe, intending to use it against him. However, Kong was stronger and easily threw them away. When Soko jumped on Kong's face, Kong grabbed him and used him like a club to strike the other apes during the fight. At one point, one ape was about to fall off a cliff, but Kong caught him and lifted him to safety. Another ape tried to stab Kong with a bone dagger, but Kong knocked him off the cliff. The last ape tried to run away in fear, and Kong threw a rock at him before he could escape. Kong then roared at Soko to assert his dominance and asked about the dagger, which led Soko to become his guide. Eventually, Kong led Soko to a water hole to drink, but suddenly, a giant snake monster rose from the water and attacked Kong, wrapping its long body around him to strangle him. Soko ran, but the axe got in the way, and Kong easily cut off the monster's head. He then took a break to eat the monster, surprising Soko, who had set a trap for him. Meanwhile, on the plane, Ellen watched the security footage and discovered that a monkey had destroyed the facility. A sudden energy surge caused the ship to start falling, but thankfully, Michael regained control just in time. Jia sensed the energy's location, and they landed the ship, following its trail through the forest. Roper smelled something strange and warned they needed to go back quickly, but Michael ignored him, declaring he was in charge. Suddenly, a massive tree-like creature appeared and swallowed everything, and the group ran for their lives. Ellen tried to call for help, but her device wasn't working. After a short while, Jia discovered ancient ruins that clearly belonged to the Iwi tribe, including a large structure adorned with the image of Mitra, the queen of monsters. Suddenly, a glowing insect landed on a triangle on the wall. Jia stepped on it, causing water to rise, and they followed it inside the structure. They found a strange transparent barrier. When Thorpe touched it, it began to glow, and Jia opened it, revealing the underground world. Back in Spain, people ran in terror as they saw a fully charged Godzilla crossing the city and returning to the sea. A Monarch submarine followed him, deducing he was heading toward the Arctic Ocean, where a highly aggressive Titan named Tiamat resided. Researchers determined that if Godzilla killed Tiamat, he would become fully charged. An hour later, the Monarch's submarine reached Tiamat's region. The Titan's energy distorted their radar, and suddenly a bright light illuminated the area. It was Godzilla, causing massive destruction to the submarine while breaking through ice to awaken the second Titan. Tiamat emerged quickly, glowing red, and trapped Godzilla with his body. Godzilla bit back, and as Tiamat tried to bite him again, Godzilla began absorbing his energy, releasing an intense atomic radiation that reached the surface. Finally, Tiamat went dormant, and Godzilla retreated to rest while absorbing all the energy in the region. Back with Ellen's team, they heard a sound and were suddenly surrounded by tribal warriors with spears. Luckily, they recognized Jia and decided to take the group with them. They reached a glowing cave and discovered the Iwi civilization, which communicated telepathically. On the ceiling, they saw vortexes that could transport them anywhere on Earth. The tribal leader touched Jia's hands, and they shared memories. The leader restored Jia's life in the tribe, while Jia showed her life on the surface. Satisfied, the leader ordered her guards to leave the rest of the team. The group was then taken to a crystal formation. Ellen discovered that the distress signal had come from this place. They sent a large crystal to warn Godzilla of an impending danger. At the Iwi temple, they poured special water to illuminate the site, revealing the tribe's history on the walls, which Ellen translated. It showed that the ancient apes were protectors of humanity, but a cruel leader named Scar King led an army of apes to attack the surface world in a war against Godzilla and his kind. Godzilla intervened, imprisoning Scar King and his army in the Hollow Earth to prevent another attack. The threat would return, but now Godzilla was charging himself. Only the Iwi tribe could awaken Queen Mitra again to restore peace. Meanwhile, Kong chased Soko across a bridge made of bone and entered an extremely hot region. He was shocked to find massive apes enslaved and enlarged to work. When a guard punished a worker, Kong went to help, angering the guard. Kong then struck the ape and demanded to see the monster responsible. At that moment, Scar King appeared and saw Kong's metal tooth, and all the apes laughed at him. Scar King tried to punish Soko for bringing Kong there, but a worker defended him. Scar King then threw the ape into a pit. Kong roared in anger, and a fierce battle broke out. Kong wielded his axe, while Scar King used a weapon made from the spine of another titan, which could strangle Kong to death. Yet Kong managed to grab Scar King and throw him. Refusing to give up, Scar King activated a glowing crystal at the end of his weapon, which awakened Shimo, the titan who caused the Ice Age. The crystal caused Shimo extreme pain, forcing him to obey Scar King. He unleashed a massive ice beam toward Kong, who tried to block it with his axe, but the explosion was so powerful that it froze Kong's arm in ice, causing frostbite and extreme weakness. Kong was too weak to fight, so Soko helped him escape the cave while another ice beam was launched. Kong ran, but the other apes stole his axe and began chasing him. He set trap after trap, eventually fortifying himself. The other apes avoided the second trap, but rocks still fell on them, injuring them. It turned out Soko had triggered the trap. While Kong was still in pain, Soko helped him move, and together they went to find humans, unaware that another ape had survived and was following them. Meanwhile, Jia contacted the other members of her Iwi tribe, finally feeling a sense of belonging. Bernie recorded everything he saw, marveling at how the Iwi used crystals to build their civilization. Suddenly, a loud alarm went off, and they rushed to open the barrier, finding Kong with his injured arm. The enemy ape saw him and ran to report back. Scar King gathered his army in front of him, mounted on Shimo, ready to launch an invasion. Soko saw them from a distance. Up in the Arctic, Godzilla awoke, broke the ice, and his new magenta glow appeared. Back with Kong, he was severely weakened and collapsed. Jia tried to reassure him, while Thorpe examined his injury and explained he had been working on a device called Operation Powerhouse, designed to give Kong an extra boost if another powerful titan appeared. Thorpe returned to the base to bring equipment, and revealed a massive mechanical arm, which he fitted onto Kong's injured limb. It took Kong a moment to adjust, but he soon regained mobility, struck the ground, and celebrated his newfound strength. At that moment, Soko arrived to warn them about Scar King's plans. He immediately jumped through the vortex portal and appeared in the middle of Egypt, beginning to destroy the pyramids and sending people fleeing. At Gibraltar, Godzilla heard Kong's roar and leaped into the sea to find him. Meanwhile, in the hollow earth, Jia approached a giant crystal and activated golden energy, awakening Queen Mitra, who thanked Jia before flying to the surface. The Iwi began evacuating the cave. Godzilla finally reached Egypt after swimming across, encountering Kong, who tried to explain the situation. But Godzilla assumed Kong was attacking humanity, leading to a massive battle. Kong landed precise strikes using his mechanical arm, grabbed Godzilla's tail, and tried to push him toward a portal. Godzilla, however, fired his atomic blast, destroying parts of the pyramids and knocking Kong to the ground. He then recharged himself. This time, Queen Mitra appeared, joined by Jia, and together they used telepathy to explain the situation to Godzilla. Godzilla understood and agreed to cooperate. Ellen's team followed the Iwi to the area beneath the pyramids, where they poured red liquid into the water, moving the crystals in hopes of increasing gravity to stop the evil titans. Scar King broke the barrier and entered, forcing Shimo to freeze the crystals before the operation could be completed. Thorpe called in a squad called the Vedakins, who attacked the ape armies with bioelectricity. The group escaped in Thorpe's aircraft, while Shimo launched another ice attack to scare the Vedakins. Thankfully, Godzilla and Kong arrived to confront Scar King and Shimo. The crystals increased gravity, causing the titans to float, but they still fought whenever they could. Thorpe's aircraft attempted to strike them, but Mitra intervened to protect them and the portals. Some ape soldiers tried to join the fight, so Soko jumped in, threw rocks at them, and blasted ice at Godzilla. Mitra distracted him, allowing Godzilla to shatter the ice with his atomic charge. Mitra grabbed Thorpe's aircraft and set it on the ground. Soko defeated the enemy guard until he died. Kong recovered his axe from the enemy and engaged in a huge battle with Scar King and his weapon, but unfortunately, he lost his axe again when the portal opened, pulling all the Titans toward Brazil. On the beach, people ran in terror as massive waves rose. Shimo unleashed his ice power, darkening the sky and beginning to freeze the city. Suddenly, Godzilla fired an atomic blast at Shimo. At the same time, Kong struck Scar King, knocking out his teeth. The battle raged on between the four Titans, who hurled each other around and destroyed dozens of buildings. After Scar King threw a building with his weapon, he and Shimo attacked Kong together. Kong used his metal arm to shield himself from an incoming ice beam. Godzilla finished charging and fired at Scar King, who dodged and countered with his weapon. Godzilla caught him and hurled him to the ground, shattering a crystal while Kong was still under Shimo's beam. Godzilla fired again. Scar King jumped to evade and tried to return the crystal, but Godzilla threw it aside and then leaped at Shimo to attack. Kong and Scar King fought to reach the crystal. Suddenly, Soko appeared with the axe and shattered the crystal, sending a massive shockwave that knocked all the Titans back. Shimo tried to recover, but he realized Scar King was no longer in control. Kong and Godzilla began hurling Scar King like a tennis ball. Shimo fired an ice beam, freezing Scar King. Kong then threw him to the ground, breaking him until he died. Godzilla used his atomic blast to clear the sky, and the battle was finally over. Mitra took Jia back to Hollow Earth, and the girl confirmed she wanted to stay on the surface with Ellen. Mitra repaired the barrier, Godzilla rested in the Colosseum once again, and Kong and Soko rode Shimo back to the ape tribe. Kong earned the respect of the former slaves and became their new leader. Thus concluded the film. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.